Right, and I'll do.
Hello, American Patriots. Are you a supporter of the Second Amendment? Are you a responsible gun owner? If so, then you know the day will come that you're going to need a trusted and qualified gunsmith. When that day arrives, I want you to contact the man that I trust with my weapons, Mr. Delaney Jackson, owner of Jumpin, a gunsmith and appraisal. Besides being a professional gunsmith, Delaney is a true American patriot. And, a little trivia for you, he's also the manager and guitar player for country music legend Mr. Mark Chestnut. So when the time arrives, take your weapons to the man who treats my weapons like they're his own, my trusted friend, Mr. Delaney Jackson at Jumpin' Gunsmith and Appraisal. Contact information and website information is in the description of this video below. Thank you and God bless.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, American Patriots, and welcome to another episode of the Douglas Ducote Show. Got many places to be tonight. Chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. The main topic of tonight's show is treason. It's a word that shouldn't be taken lightly, but it is a word that when it's conducted against the United States of America, action should be taken. And I'm going to lay out for you in very simple terms exactly what treason is and how it has been committed right here in America by not only the current leader at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, but his predecessor, Obama. So what is treason? Treason. The offense of treason exists at both federal and state levels. The federal crime is defined in the Constitution as either levying war against the United States or inheriting to its enemies, and carries a sentence of death or imprisonment and a fine. The United States Constitution, Article 3, Section 3 reads as follows. Pay close attention to this. Treason against the United States shall consist only in leveling war against them or in inherent to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court. The Congress shall have power to declare the punishment of treason. That being said, let's talk about how it's been committed recently. The U.S. Department of Defense found that roughly $7 billion worth of military equipment transferred to Afghanistan security forces remained in the country during the Taliban takeover in August of 2021, according to a congressionally mandated DoD report. Military assistance delivered to Kabul over the course of 16 years included equipment ranging from air-to-surface missiles, night vision surveillance, and Humvees. This was first reported by, CNN, liberals. The Afghan National Defense and Security Forces, which were trained by the U.S. military, received $18.6 billion worth of equipment from 2005 to the U.S. withdrawal in August of 2021. Defense Department spokesperson, Army Major Rob Ludwig, told Fox News Digital. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have criticized the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan that ultimately led to the death of 13 U.S. service members and the collapse of the Afghan government. Many on the Hill have also voiced frustration and that deadly technology was left in the hands of the very group the U.S. toppled 20 years prior. After more than 16 years of combat operations, Department of Defense estimates that $7.12 billion of this equipment remains in Afghanistan. Nearly all equipment used by U.S. military forces in Afghanistan was either retrograded or destroyed prior to our withdrawal and is not part of the $7.12 billion figure cited in the report. Taliban forces made headlines following the completed U.S. withdrawal in August by parading military equipment that had belonged to the United States military. Over $923 million worth of aircraft in Afghanistan, including 78 aircraft that were originally procured for the Afghan government, were left at the international airport. Over 9,500 air-to-surface munitions, valued at over $6.5 million, were left behind at the airport. Through the report noted, the significant majority of the munition stocks are non-precision munitions, meaning that instead of being a guided missile, it's just one that you shoot and hope it hits something, or a dumb bomb, for instance. More than 40,000 of the 96,000 military vehicles given to Afghanistan authorities were abandoned, including 12,000 Humvees. Just under 3/4 of the 427,300 weapons provided the Afghan forces were left behind, along with less than 1,537,000 munitions and small arms ammo. 1,537,000 rounds of ammunition. Nearly all communications equipment, encryption devices, night vision goggles, and other forms of surveillance, to include explosive detection equipment, were also abandoned, the report found. And that, my friends, is a true living example of what treason actually is. Aiding and abetting the enemy by leaving them billions of dollars worth of U.S. military equipment to use against us. And trust me, they will. President Joe Biden has committed treason against the United States of America. This is something that many on the right, many in Congress, will not say. Republicans are too scared to use the word treason against a sitting president. I'm not. I serve with honor in the United States military. I served 4 combat tours against radical Islamic terrorists. And the fact that we left all this equipment in the hands of the same people that are responsible for attacking us on 9/11 is appalling. It's time for Republicans to step up and call it what it is. This withdrawal out of Afghanistan, the way it took place, the way it went down, is a treasonous act to leave all that equipment behind. We left it to the enemy, that is aiding and abetting. There is no other way get around that. You can't. You can try. You can say whatever the hell you want to say. But when you abandon the war zone, you take your shit with you or you destroy it. You do not leave it to fall into the hands of the enemy. And the Biden administration did that with open arms. I can only hope that when the midterms get here, and they can't get here fast enough, the Republicans will win back the House and the Senate. And to all the Republicans out there that are in Congress, one of you, if not several of you, need to already be prepared to win back the House and Senate with articles of treason written up and ready to go up for a vote. Now, saying that, let's talk about why it's no big deal to him. Because he only did what the man he worked for 8 years did, Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Obama also committed treason. And I'm sure plenty on the left are asking, well, how the hell is that possible, Doug? Let's see. When we traded, as in the Obama administration, 5 captured on the battlefield, known terrorists responsible for the deaths of hundreds, if not thousands, of American service members' lives. We traded 5 of them for 1 deserter, which was a guy by the name of Sergeant Bardog. He deserted his unit in Afghanistan. He went to the enemy. He did not want to be with the American forces anymore. Originally, they captured him, and who knows how they treated him. They keep all that kind of hush-hush. But the bottom line is, for years, he wasn't killed. He wasn't beaten. He was used as a pawn. And the Taliban got exactly what they wanted out of that administration. You give us these 5, we give you your 1. And you can go back and you can look at, right here on YouTube, at the Obama administration, Obama himself, in the Rose Garden, holding a press conference with Bardog's parents, who were praising Allah. That, my friends, is treason. Number 1, we do not, the United States of America does not do anything when it comes to negotiations with terrorists. That is a long-standing operational point. And the Obama administration did just that. And these 5 individuals went on to do more harm and more damage, and they will do more in the future. So, like father, like son. Obama did it. He committed treason. That's treason. And now Joe Biden did it. Which one's worse? I don't know. They're both pretty damn bad as far as I'm concerned. One let 5 known terrorists go that were commanders in terrorist groups capable of plotting and planning to kill Americans. And the other one left billions of dollars worth of our equipment for them to use against our forces and coalition forces. That is treason. I don't care how you paint it. I don't care what colors you use. I don't care if you wrap it in a fucking bow. It's treason, and it needs to be called out for what it is. That is aiding and abetting the enemy of the United States of America. And the quicker Republicans get off their freaking lazy asses and call it out for what it is, the faster we can move on come midterms and put some of this crazy shit behind us. As a combat veteran, as an American patriot, I'm appalled by what this administration did in Afghanistan and the way we pulled out of there. I don't know a single veteran that isn't, especially those that lost limbs. and especially the family members that lost their loved one fighting in that war. For what? It's called treason, my friends. You heard it right here. And I'll be talking more about it in the near future as we get closer to midterms. I will not let you forget what treason is. Moving along. An Illinois school district this month is having schools teach about sexual orientation and gender study, including projects and lessons for preschoolers. Preschoolers. The dedicated curriculum is part of Evasion Skoke's School District 65's LGBTQ plus Equality Month, which is one of several special units the school features, along with Lennox Heritage Month and Black Lives Matter at School Week of Action. Throughout the month, educators and pre-K 8th grade students will be broaden their understanding of identity of self and others, allyship, family structures, vocabulary, gender expressions, stereotypes, colors on the intersectional pride flag, and the historical contributions LGBTQ people have made to our society. Each grade level engages in a selection of these topics, the district said in an announcement addressed to families. District posted details of the lesson for each grade on its website. You can go there and check it out yourself. Preschool students will learn about the pride flag and be introduced to vocabulary words including gay, lesbian, non-binary, and queer. The concept of transgender is taught in kindergarten. First graders learn about pronouns, including ze, zar, and har. And lesson plans include social justice standards. Slides for second grade class discussions will be sex assigned at birth, stating that sex is assigned by a doctor and is different from gender identity. By 8th grade, students are taught about recent bills that aim to limit transgender athletes from participating in school sports and actions they can take and talk about in these bills. Lessons about sexual orientation and gender identity for young children are the focus of a new parental rights law signed by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, which prohibits such instructions through 3rd grade. Democrats vilified DeSantis over the law, which they labeled the Don't Say Gay bill. And it isn't, by the way, although you hear the Democrats saying that is the name of the bill, they made that fucking word up. That is not the name of the bill. Accused it of being anti-LGBT. DeSantis press secretary Christian Pushaw addressed the Evanston-Skokie School District lessons in a statement to Fox News. This is appalling, but it's not surprising. Countless activists, politicians, and media outlets have been gaslighting parents by claiming there is no sex ed in K through 3, or kindergartners aren't learned about transgenderism. Unfortunately, this isn't true, and that's why Governor DeSantis signed the Partial Rights and Education Law to protect kids in Florida from inappropriate content in the classroom and to defend parents' rights to impart their values to their own children, she said. Thanks to our governor and the legislation, Florida kids will not be subject to ideology indoctrinations about sex and gender theory that is unfortunately injected into the curriculum in Illinois and other states, adding that examples such as what this school district is doing demonstrates why Florida laws are necessary. The school district said that beginning next school year, the learning associated with LGBTQ plus unit of study will be interwoven in our curriculum instead of being its own unit. I'm going to spell for you real quick so you can look this up and maybe you can reach out to the school district and tell them what you think. It's EVANSTON/SKOKIE. And that is the school district where this is taking place in Illinois. EFSON is also where in 2021, the city council voted to approve a plan for reparations to Black residents as compensation for slavery and discrimination. The reparations were in the form of a $25,000 awards for down payments on property or home repairs. You know, pick anyone. Take me, for example. If I go out and hang out outside of a school where there's a bunch of young kids, even if it's high school, and I don't know, for whatever reason, I get the kids to come over and talk to me. Maybe I set up a camera and I'm going to interview them. Or maybe I got a puppy on a leash that they want to come pet. Or I got a van that says free candy. Whatever. If I were to be talking to these children the way that this school is going to talk to their children, I would be arrested and charged. Why is it okay for this to happen in our school system? I tell you, it's not okay. It's flat out wrong. And it shouldn't be happening. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki on Thursday defended a recent announced Department of Homeland Security effort to combat disinformation on issues related to COVID-19 and elections. Asked by Fox News White House correspondent Jacqueline Henrich for more information, what DHS Disinformation Governance Board would be doing specifically, she said, I really haven't dug into this exactly. I mean, we're, of course, support this effort, but let me see if I can get more specifics. The White House announced its support for an effort from the Department of Homeland Security to crack down on what it considers to be online disinformation. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas testified yesterday that Disinformation Governance Board had recently been created to combat online disinformation, and Politico reported that Nina Jaworski, who previously served as a disinformation fellow at the Wilson Center, will head the board as executive director. We know there's been a range of disinformation out there about a range of topics, including COVID, for example, and also elections and eligibility, Psaki said, adding that she would check for additional information on what the board plans to do. Asked about prior statements made by her, Jaworski, and how the administration can assure concerns over her appointment to lead the effort fairly, Psaki responded, it sounds like an objective of the board is to prevent disinformation and misinformation from traveling around the country in a range of communities. I'm not sure who opposes that effort, she said. She was unsure of who the individual is that was chosen to head the initiative and did not have any information related to this woman at all. In her selection to serve as executive director for the newly announced board, Jaworski, who previously served as disinformation fellow at the Wilson Center, is facing renewed criticism for past comments she made regarding the Hunter Biden laptop story. Jaworski has previously referred the laptop, which has been authenticated by multiple news outlets to include CNN, MSNBC, and ABC, and CBS, and NBC, and Fox, by multiple news outlets as a Trump campaign product. and suggested it was a Russian influence op. Members of Congress and critics on social media have blasted the decision to appoint her and expressed concern she would not be an impartial director of the board. You think? Rather than police the border, Homeland Security has decided to make policing America's speech its top priority. Republican Senator Josh Hawley wrote in a tweet, "They're creating a disinformation board. No, really. And take a look at the views of the leftist radical running it. Apparently, this person is the new head of Homeland Security's Disinformation Governance Board." Washington Free Beacon reporter Chuck Ross tweeted, "Republicans did not fund the Steele dossier. Democrats did." Tesla CEO Elon Musk appeared to react negatively on Twitter in response to the Biden administration's establishment of the Disinformation Governance Board to combat online disinformation, just days after Musk's deal to buy Twitter. This newly established board is in lockstep with the likes of former Nazi Germany. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas testified Wednesday that a Disinformation Governance Board had recently been created days after Musk purchased Twitter to combat online disinformation. The goal is to bring the resources of the Department of Homeland Security together to address this threat. Adding that the department is focused on the spread of disinformation in minority communities, the move received immediate criticism from Republicans, including from Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, who called the board a disgrace and accused the board's executive director, Nina Jaworskiewicz, who previously served as a disinformation fellow at Wilson Center, of being a leftist radical. She has been slammed from previously seeming to dismiss the legitimacy of Hunter Biden's laptop, which has been independently verified by multiple news outlets and once referred to as a Trump campaign product. So, now that Twitter is about to change how Americans exercise their First Amendment rights, finally, by Elon Musk taking it over, the Biden administration will attempt to police the internet, only allowing the left to have freedom of speech. And that's how they want it. They did this because Twitter was their way of doing it. Millions and millions of people on Twitter. And when conservatives and Republicans spoke out, we were censored. Elon Musk comes in and says, enough is enough. So now what's the Biden administration do? We're going to put together a board that's going to censor what's being put out there on websites, on social media. And oh, by the way, the person in charge of it hates Trump, Republicans, and conservatives. So that's their way of countering what's happening at Twitter. If I didn't know any better, I think that I just went back into time and I was in the former Soviet Union or Cuba, Venezuela, Iran, Iraq, Nazi Germany. That's what's happening right now. I've often mentioned the horrible things Democrats do to this country when they're in office. A few of those horrible things are what they do to the economy, the military budget, law enforcement, veterans benefits, and our borders. They all take a hit when Democrats are in office. I've explained in the past how I was raised a staunch Democrat, and I was a Democrat for many, many years, till I went into the United States military and realized that this party is a bunch of racists. This party doesn't like the military. This party is going to take away money, funding from the military budget, from veterans, from law enforcement, to pad their own agenda, which is giving it to people that don't deserve it. Talked about this many, many times. Last month, there were 221,303 illegal crossings at our southern border that our Border Patrol agents were able to apprehend. I'm going to give you that number again, because some of you are probably going, what? 221,303. Now, how many were not caught? That's roughly 5 crossings every minute. While we are expecting a bigger surge of crossings due to Biden's repeal of Title 42, the Biden administration is planning to send another group of people to the border. Guess who those people are? Drum roll, please. Doctors from the VA. They're sending VA doctors to treat illegal immigrants instead of veterans they should be caring for, in one of the most ludicrous proposals ever by a sitting president. This shouldn't be controversial. Biden needs to prioritize those who have defended our country and our laws over illegal immigrants who break the damn law. VA doctors should not be providing illegal immigrants with anything. They should be providing for the care of our American veterans. You know, just today, the Homeland Security shithead was in front of Congress. And he was asked point blank. We have from the Border Patrol that numerous individuals have been apprehended at our border trying to cross. They were on the terrorist no-fly list. They couldn't get into America by plane, so they went over to Central or South America and they came up this way. Is that true? To which he agreed that yes, it's true. But then when asked how many have been let out back into the public, that piece of shit didn't have an answer. How is that possible? You're in charge of the Department of Homeland Security. And you can't tell Congress in a hearing, it's all there for you to justify your actions if any of these terrorists were then let back out within our community with a court date to show up just like the other illegal aliens that come across. That should alarm everybody, regardless of what your political party is. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican or liberal or conservative. You should be concerned with that. You just say, no, no, we're not going to allow anyone to come across that border, period, unless they do it legally. That's not what we're doing, is it? And when that son of a bitch today testified that he doesn't know how many were let out, they called for his resignation. They said he should be embarrassed for his actions by not supporting our Border Patrol, by accusing them of things they didn't do, such as whipping illegal aliens with whips while on horseback. It's absolutely appalling. So we talked about how Joe Biden's administration is all for the crazy shit that our schools are trying to teach our kids, whether it's critical race theory or sexual orientation, LGBTQ stuff, things that should not be in school. They should be learning about reading, writing, arithmetic, history, science. Joe Biden told teachers that when in class, children are like yours and not anyone else's. The president's remarks came during a Teacher of the Year event at the White House yesterday. It's right here on YouTube. Look it up. I'm sure many of you liberals or Democrats watching tonight's show are like, oh, bullshit, that didn't happen. It's right here on YouTube. Check it out for yourself. They're not someone else's children. They're our children, Biden said. And they are the kite string that literally lift our nation ambitions aloft. Biden reiterated the statement later in his address. You've heard me say it many times about our children, but it's true. They're all our children. And the reason you are the Teacher of the Year is because you recognize that, Biden said. They're not someone else's children. They're like yours. And when they're in your classroom, that's how they should be treated. Not what their parents want. No. Biden's statements come at a time when Democrats and Republicans in different states are at odds on whether parents should have control over what their children are taught in school. And of course, in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law prohibiting lessons about sexual orientation or gender identity in elementary school, only for Democrats to vilify the legislation by calling it the Don't Say Gay bill. Last year, Glenn Youngkin was elected governor of Virginia after opponent Terry McLaughlin said, I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach. Parents, the people that gave birth to these children, responsible for them. They're the only ones that should be teaching them anything about sex ed. This next piece, liberals and Democrats, is directly from CNN. And what's it say when you're a Democrat and you lose CNN? And boy, are they ever. Finally, CNN's reached a point where there's just no way to make up excuses anymore for this babbling idiot administration. From CNN, the news of the U.S. economy unexpectedly shrank over the first quarter of the year is an absolute body blow to Democrats already reeling amid growing economic concerns ahead of the 2022 midterm election. The country's gross domestic product fell at an annualized rate of 1.4% between January and March, a stunning reversal from the 6.9% GDP growth that the U.S. recorded in the first quarter of 2021. The GDP is seen as a broad guide to the overall health of the nation's economy. And in a dedicated ill omen, the GDP shrinkage was the worst performance of the measure since the economy went into recession, aimed the shutting down of the economy in the spring of 2020. Addressing recession fears on Thursday, President Joe Biden said, well, I'm not concerned about recession. I mean, you're always concerned about recession, but the GDP, fell to 1.4%. Big deal. The GDP news comes on the heels of newly released polling data from Gallup that suggests that economy confidence is extremely low amongst the American public. More than 4 in 10, 42% of Americans say the economy condition in America were poor, while another 38%, just to say, were only fair in Gallup's April survey. Just 2% said economic conditions were excellent, while 18% say they were good. And those, by the way, are people that make way more money than you and I do, and it don't mean shit to them. More than 3 in 4, 76% of Americans said that the economy was getting worse, compared to 20% who said it was improving. Anyone that said this economy is improving doesn't buy their own damn groceries, doesn't shop at Walmart, and doesn't buy their own gas. Because it doesn't take a NASA rocket scientist to realize the shit show that we're in right now. Gallup's Economic Conference Index, which measures respondents' feelings about the economy, from 100 is very high to a plus 100 to a minus 100, very low, is currently at a minus 39. It was at a minus 6 in July of 2021. The economy, as you might expect from those delusionary numbers, is a top of mind issue for many Americans. Around 4 in 10 Americans told Gallup that economic issues were the biggest problem facing the country, with inflation topping that list. The Consumer Price Index hit 8.5% in March, the highest number that number has been in 40 damn years. Add all those factors up, and you get an absolute toxic political environment facing Biden and Democrats as they prepare to defend their House and Senate majorities in November. It's the worst political environment that we've lived through in the past 30 years of being of looking at this. Biden pollster John Anzalone said recently, and he's right, midterm elections and a president's first term are routinely bad for their party in Congress, but that trend is made far worse when the president is unpopular as Biden is now. In Gallup's first quarter polling, Biden's job approval rating sat at just 41%. There are two factors that complicate any attempts by Biden to turn the economy, and it's important voters' perceptions about it to turn it around. Number one, despite the most powerful position in the country, a president has limited ability to stimulate a struggling economy. Biden's Build Back Better legislative agenda appears dead in the water. Plus, Biden is already a very bad place with voters on the economy. Just 33% of Americans approve of how he's handling it. And that was in the Quinnipiac University poll released earlier this week. Number two, there are only 194 days between today and the November 2022 elections. In political terms, that is a very short window to turn around people's perception of the economy. Particularly in inflation and gas prices remain anything close to their current levels. If things stay roughly where they are today in terms of economic measures like the GDP and the CPI and Americans' perception of the state of the economy, Democrats will experience a cataclysm at the ballot box this fall. The question won't be whether they hold their paper-thin majorities in the House and Senate, but rather how big the electoral hole will be that they have to try and dig themselves out from under for the next decade to come. That is from CNN. It's on their website right now. That's exactly where I pulled it from, Democrats and liberals. Even CNN realizes this current administration has screwed the pooch. They're turning this country into a laughing stock. Wide open borders, not defending police, possibly allowing known terrorists to walk free in America, aiding and abetting the enemy in Afghanistan, attacking police officers, setting up the narrative that all police are bad and racist. It's It's pretty pathetic. It's sad. And it shouldn't be this way. What happened to this Democrat Party? How did y'all become so damn delusional that you think it's okay to have queer story hour with somebody dressed up in drag at the public library or in your school lunchroom or auditorium? How do you think it's okay to teach kindergartners about sexual orientation? And little boy, just because you have a penis doesn't mean that you're an actual boy. If you want to identify as a girl, feel free to do so. Put a dress on, please. How is that okay? I've got nothing, absolutely nothing against anyone that's not straight like I am. I've got gay friends. I got friends that are bisexual. I've got friends that are Democrats. Hell, I've got family members that are still Democrats, even though I've exposed the Democrat Party wide open for most of them. You know that old saying, you get stuck in your own ways and you can't seem to overlook it? Well, yeah, that shit's true and it happens. What we're doing to this country right now is a travesty. And it is very, very, very important that come midterms, we sweep the House and the Senate in a drastic way. And then the war just begins. When we, the American patriots of this country, hold those we elected to accountability. That's right, Republicans. Just because we elect you doesn't mean we're going to sit back and watch you do stupid shit. Can anyone tell me what the Republicans accomplished the last time they had 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the House and the Senate? What did they accomplish? Crickets. Well, that shit's not going to happen again. If I got to do my show live outside of the White House, I will. Or the halls of Congress. To keep pounding and pounding and pounding over and over and over again that it is not okay to be elected to serve the people, but yet you go there and you serve your own self-interest. How is it possible that someone that makes $30,000 or $40,000 a year, or in AOC's case, Alejandro or Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, was a bartender? A bartender, which is nothing against bartenders, but she went from being a bartender to a millionaire. So did Nancy Pelosi. So did Alejandro Omar. All of them, Republicans and Democrats. That's fucked up. And it's wrong. That's why there needs to be term limits. And besides term limits, there also needs to be, we need to stop this bullshit of if you just serve one term and you get voted out, you can continue to get your fucking paycheck. That shit's got to go. If you got voted out, it's because you're a damn disaster for this country. How do you keep getting paid? Why is that even a possibility? We have a long way to go, my friends, and a very short time to get there before it's too late. God help us if we do not win big at midterms. And then, even more so, 2024, if we can't get another Republican back in that position at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And I'll be one that's not going to let up for a freaking second on Republicans and their bullshit. As much as I dislike and detest what the Democrat Party has become, what the Republican Party has become, if you're not aware of this, you better wake up. Because it's not good, my friends. We're not sending people up there to represent us anymore. We think we are, but we're not. And that's got to change. And I have faith that it will. You had many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me. And for that, I am forever grateful. If you haven't already done so, please go to DouglasDucote.com. Check it out. Also, in the description of this video, once it's up and posted as a regular video and the live show's over with, and the description of all my shows and videos, you'll be able to find where you can follow me at the different social media platforms. I am finally on TruthSocial. So go there, look me up under Douglas M. Ducote Sr. and follow me, as well as the Douglas Ducote Show on TruthSocial. And you can see all the other locations you can follow me at as well. And I'll follow you back. That's how we do this. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders and their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. If I've said this once, I've said it 1,000 times. If you don't know what angel families are, or you don't know what blue and gold star families are, please look that up, study it, burn it into your brain, because they need our support, because this administration is pissing on the graves of their loved ones, and that is not acceptable. Hope you all have a wonderful and blessed weekend. If anything happens that's of breaking news that I think is of important to American patriots, I'll be sure to talk about it or do a video about it. Other than that, I'll see you next Tuesday. Same bat station, same bat time. I'm off this weekend to a reunion that we have every year for former skydivers, those of us that jump out of airplanes because we thought it was fun. We hold a reunion every year for those that used to jump at this one particular place called Greene County Sport Parachute Center and Greenway Sport Parachute Center. It's no longer anymore, but for years and years, a strong bond of people got together on the weekends and hurled ourselves out of airplanes and had one hell of a fast life. And I put together this reunion about 5 years ago, actually 6 years ago. We didn't have it 1 year because of COVID. Put together this reunion so that we can all come together again and share stories and talk about the good old days and catch up on each other's lives. And it's amazing how, as time goes by, we move on into different things in our lives. So that's what I'll be doing this weekend. And I hope whatever you're doing this weekend, you're doing it safely and you're enjoying life. Thank you all. God bless you. And I'll see you soon.